to Saurabh Mukherjee's book, The Unusual Billionaires, where he has described, as I told you, 7 successful companies over the past 10 years. Now, one of these companies, his sieve is that these companies for the past 10 years have shown 10% revenue growth and 15% return on capital. But in these 7 gems is one which has shown a 20% CAGR for the past 70 years. My sense is this could be an unbroken record or unmatched record globally. Saurabh himself was not very sure of that. But that company is Asian Paints. And we had the privilege of having a very rare interaction with one of the founder families of Asian Paints. Saurabh and I spoke with Jalaj Dani, President and I think Head of HR at Asian Paints. Why don't you listen into a chunk of that conversation? Many more like that will come your way through this week, but this is Jalaj Dani on Asian Paints. If I were to ask you, what is the secret of this 70-year success? What would you name?
I think one thing that clearly stands out is we are in a sector that continues to grow year after year. Here is one industry that has grown near double digits year after year for the last 25 years. So it's an industry that understands that the per capita consumption of the product is low in this country, pushes itself very hard to increase consumption over a period of time, keeps focus on what is value for the customer.
It will be obvious to everybody that this industry is, in India is likely to grow at this pace. Why is it that Asian Paints succeeded? What is that secret mantra?
Yeah, so as I was saying, the sector itself has grown, and within that, from mid-60s, when we became market leaders, we have seen ourselves adding more top line year after year and gaining more share. We have also find value in staying focused to one line of business. So it's broadly paints, but within that, whether it's decorative paints or industrial paints. And in the last few years, we are now looking at a much larger canvas as far as home improvement is concerned, as far as decorative paints across emerging markets is concerned. Alliances in these areas in the last few years is what we are seeing. So I think a very disciplined approach in a category that is growing. Because you are disciplined and committed to a category, you continuously invest. We have stuck to the knitting and margins have been good. Return on capital employed has been good. We have gone back and again invested in good manufacturing practices, relationship with all stakeholders over a period of time. So very committed, very focused, I guess very conservative also.
How did the Choksies, the Danis and the Vakils and the other Choksies manage without any problems for 7 decades?
If it is good for Asian Paints, it's good for the families. So I think the interest of the company has always been put ahead of everything else. And in a very disciplined manner, keeping the egos aside, decade after decade, I've seen the first generation, the second generation, and now we are the third generation.
How does Asian Paints brains trust work? Is it that the promoter families and the professionals sit together every quarter, every half year and brainstorm? How is this consistency produced?
As far as the organic growth of the decorative business is concerned, we continue to stay dissatisfied with status quo. So we definitely want to grow the business. We want to improve technology, our distribution, invest more in the brand, in the consumer connect. So there are many things we continuously keep on doing as far as these things are concerned. And for us, it is important that we deliver a good bottom line, but we have always believed that we must have a good volume growth. We must gain market share year after year. So that's something the organization truly believes in and continuously does that.
How do you guys approach acquisitions?
Over a period of time, we realized that if we have to get distribution, if we have to get brand, if we have to get talent, as we go to more and more emerging markets, it makes more sense to do acquisitions than only do organic growth. So we started doing acquisitions only in 90s. So we did an acquisition in India as far as the powder coating business is concerned. Then we did one in Sri Lanka, and then we did quite a few in 2002, and then we have added some more in the last few years. So our approach always has been that, again, is it something that is consistent with our value in terms of how we want to operate as an organization, disclosures, compliance, proposition to the consumer, leveraging our supply chain, our back end as far as India is concerned, whether it's paint technology, whether it's information technology.
If you have to look into the future, how do you see Asian Paints 10 years down the line?
We clearly see two things happening as an organization. We find ourselves more and more growing in the emerging markets. So we are in the process of doing more acquisitions, integrating the existing acquisitions, also making greenfield investments. We also see ourselves becoming much stronger as far as the industrial business is concerned through alliances. But more importantly, I think as an organization, we are now on this path of from a paint company to a decor company. We see in the Indian context consumers spending a lot more as far as their homes are concerned.
So very soon we should be seeing you looking at acquisitions in home improvement businesses.
We have done 2 acquisitions in the last 3 years as far as home improvement space is concerned. We are busy building up that in terms of it's already in kitchen and bath space, so we can definitely do more as far as that is concerned, and we'll continue to explore if there are more things we can do. But again, we are in not a lot of hurry. We want to grow the business at a certain pace and also make sure that we stay profitable.
A final question to you, Saurabh. You know, when you make an investment, you are looking at the past. So how would you, extrapolate Asian Paints' future? What would be your red and green flags?
So look, I mean, the future is unknowable, and one of the things I've tried to do in the book, and I try to do even in my personal investment avatar, is look as far back as possible. And when you meet a management team which is alive to both and is making small experiments to see what will and what won't work, you're reasonably assured that however the future pans out, this company is making judicious investments to be in the right place at the right time. There are no guarantees in life. All you can do is back the management team, which is alive to the possibilities and risks and making judicious investments to be in the right place at the right time 10 years hence. I think that's, if you ask me why are we sitting in the studio in the 75th year of Asian Paints and celebrating the success, I think one of the reasons is Jalaj and his colleagues have been able to do this, and in fact his predecessor generation has been able to do this over the best part of India's independence.
Okay, that was just a trailer of what's to come. We have serialized the book, and you're going to get these unheard